2, 1. Hello. Welcome to the Cloud Saga Cinema Podcast. I'm your co-host, Connor Van Sice. Today I'm joined by
Ryan Dangler.
And Colin Bauer.
That might have been the best intro. I mean, last week's intro was
Last
pretty
week we had a good one.
Last week's was amazing. Brilliant. How's everyone doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Better this week than last week.
Hey, there you go.
Oh,
There you go.
There we go.
We got you back. We got you back.
We got Colin. Colin's back, everyone. Welcome back, Colin.
Thank you.
What's been
Good to be back.
What's everyone been up to?
Working hard, but still keeping along with the movies. Really just been trying to get ready for the new semester as well. Kind of excited, kind of nervous, but looking forward to it.
Nice.
Next week.
Next week? Oh boy.
Next week.
Oh boy. I went to Maine.
Nice.
It was cloudy and rainy for half the trip. So
That sucks.
you know what? Portland, man.
Yeah.
Someone asked me where I went, and I'm like, Portland. They're like, oh, Oregon. I'm like,
Nope.
I wish. Nope, Maine.
Portland, Maine.
But yeah, it was. It's an interesting area to say the least. We were right by a pier,
Mm-hmm.
so we were like 5-10 minutes away from that. We couldn't find a beach that was long enough to do anything. We found this one area that was like this beach was like this big.
All right,
So
well,
I mean, we
It's
gotta plan
something.
it out better next time. But
That was something.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, just kind of hanging in there. Apparently, everything's just opening back up all of a sudden.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is
It's-
opening back up at the same time.
Yeah, gyms.
Gyms are opening back up.
bowling alleys.
33% capacity.
What's the capacity?
33%.
That's an odd number.
So that's 400 square feet per person.
Jeez.
So, hey, you know what? And you have to wear masks the entire time
Ooh.
while working
Gee,
out.
I don't know if that's worth it.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
term-
that's
it-
the
like
same thing with the movies. I don't know if I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It depends on how many people go.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me. So do we want to get right into the previews here?
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
So we got our first look at Space Jam 2, if you want to call it that, or the new Legacy or the Legacy or something like that.
Something like that.
We got to
Just call
see
it what it is. It's a reboot.
some we don't know. At this point, who knows? You know what? Jordan could just show up out of
There you
nowhere.
go.
You could.
MJ's like, this is, the Monstars could beat the shit out of LeBron, and he comes in and he's like, this is where it becomes personal for me. Those who have watched The Last Dance will understand that reference.
Mhm.
I just got it.
So, yeah, I mean, we got to see LeBron walk out. We got to see the new
The new uniform.
I will say I like the music in the background better than the uniform.
Yep.
The uniform's not bad.
It is
It's
so
not
vastly
bad.
different than that retro, sick Toon Squad.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's different, but I mean, I dig what they're going for. Going
I'll
for
be
an updated
interested
look.
to see what they do with it because have they announced who the players are, the other players in the movie yet?
No, I don't think so.
It can be like Kyrie, KD, something like that.
Yeah.
I know they leaked some of the villains or like who are going to be on the Monstars.
Yeah, and it's like all the Warner Brothers villains. So
It's
like
like Pennywise.
Joker, I think.
Yeah.
Pennywise.
I
And
think
I'm like,
Freddy Krueger might be on there too.
what are we doing here? What are we
I
doing?
mean,
Well,
it's different.
it's different, but
It's different.
it's a Warner Brothers property, so I mean, I guess that makes sense.
It's a Warner Brothers cinematic universe.
Oh my god.
Yeah, literally, Brian, literally.
Yeah.
God.
But, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm taking it with a grain of salt,
different,
honestly.
and I'm all for it.
We'll
You
see.
know?
We'll see what happens.
The potential film festival award season darling Nomadland got a release date for December.
It
It's directed by Chloe Zhao, and it stars Frances McDormand. I think it's only Frances McDormand in the movie.
really?
Like one or two other people involved.
Oh,
yeah.
I did not
Based off
know
a
that.
book or a short story, something like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, from the promotional photos that they have, I can see Best Actress, Best Picture, Adapted, Cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zhao, if I'm probably butchering the last name, but if this movie is as good as it's being hyped up to be, she's going to have this, and then she's going to have Eternals that comes out around award season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Eternals is going to get nominated for anything, but she could have two really successful movies on her hands at the same time.
Yeah.
So she could come out of this award season being this like new director, especially if she gets a nomination.
Yeah.
After last year, where the last couple of years they just haven't awarded female directors. So I'm excited for it. If I decide to do the online TIFF thing, if I can even get tickets, I shouldn't be saying if I decide to, like I have a choice, but if I'm able to get tickets, that's one of them that I really want to watch. So I'm excited for it. Frances is
she's a powerhouse actress.
what was her last acting gig? 3 Billboards? Was that the last one?
I think
she had
Dead Don't Die.
Yes.
I think she was in that.
I think she was.
Or was that
Still haven't
Tilda
seen it.
Swinton?
No, I think that was Tilda.
Yeah, it was. I know Tilda was in it. So
let me look it up real quickly for us. In the meantime, though,
dead air.
Frances McDormand was in. Was Billboards her last?
I think
movie?
3 Billboards was her last movie.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Come on, load up.
Hey, I mean, she won the.
Nope, don't. Oh, Connor, how could you forget Isle of Dogs? Wes Anderson.
Interpreter
Came
Nelson.
out the same. Was that 2018?
3 Billboards 2017.
Isle of Dogs 2018. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she was in the movie for like 3 seconds. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, her last role was technically Isle of Dogs, but it was like really Billboards. Yeah. And she 100% deserved her win for that. Absolutely.
No, I mean, she could easily have a really good property on her hands with this one, and I haven't seen Zhao's other like shorts because that's all she's really done. So,
I guess.
I mean, it's a wide open race here. I feel like this year specifically.
And also, if they include The French Dispatch in these awards, she's also in that.
She is, but that's the biggest question for me and a lot of people is, will that get released this year or early 2021? Because I know we got taken off of the release slate for 2020. So,
unless they pull a fast one and be like, it's releasing December 31st.
Or they do what they did with Tenet, where they say, it's delayed indefinitely. And they're like, oh, wait, actually, you know what? It's releasing next month or something like that.
If Regal and AMC do fine during this pandemic, I think it could come back.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see because I
don't see any huge movies like Fast and Furious or was Wonder Woman was pushed to what?
October.
Okay, so it's still this year.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's October, Black Widow's November.
Yeah,
currently.
I don't see anything like Fast Furious or like Godzilla getting pulled back to this year because of that. I think those are staying in 2021.
But here's
something like French Dispatch could get moved back or
how long are theaters going to be open for before they close back down? Because I don't know if you guys have been reading not to stay on this topic too long, but there have been colleges already and like schools that have had to go to remote learning after like a week because they've had like these huge spikes of virus of the COVID-19. So I want to go to the movies and I want to watch these like classic movies that they're putting back into theaters, but at the same time, I can watch those and be just as safe
in my home.
I think they're going to be open longer than schools only because I think it's easier to maintain a movie theater than a bunch of children in a school.
That's true.
Yeah. I think like
completely different things, but again,
colleges are like one thing because I feel like people are mature enough to act.
I mean,
it's like you would hope so.
To a certain extent,
you would hope.
You
so.
would hope so. Like, I know all
of
us would follow the guidelines, but like not.
Yeah.
There's some that just don't listen, and I'm hoping that Regal puts in because I looked through their guidelines, and I think they should have handled seating differently. I think they literally should have pulled out seats, like physically, rather than just saying, "Oh, we're gonna block it. You have to put at least 2 seats worth of space in between each person, and there's only like 50% capacity they're allowing in each theater."
So, but Brian, where are you gonna do with those seats? Because I mean, eventually, at some point in the near future, this pandemic will end. Then you're gonna put those seats back in.
It's gonna be being pushed back if people stop following the rules. So
if it goes away,
they have
to seat somewhere.
Which
so they just put them back.
I mean, the pandemic's. I don't think you can necessarily say the pandemic's going away because it is a virus. The virus can't go away.
No, people will just become hopefully like they'll take the vaccine, they'll become immune. Yeah, so like it'll still be there.
Yeah,
but hopefully by like I want to say mid to late next year, people like at least almost everyone will take the vaccine if it's out by then.
Hopefully. This podcast has now turned into a medical podcast.
We are now.
We're all doctors. Congrats, guys, on your PhDs.
Thank you.
Cloud Saga MD.
MD.
Cloud Saga.
All right,
MD.
Anyways,
because we're certified.
We are based in the East Coast, Northeast. Wherever you guys are listening from, Regal's supposed to be opening countrywide and worldwide, and theaters are just supposed to be opening
this weekend.
This week, 3 days from today, which is the 18th.
Hey, Friday or Saturday?
Friday.
All for it, I guess.
I believe the first release is first new release. I guess is supposed to be Unhinged. Yeah.
Yeah, with who is it? It's Russell Crowe. That's I keep wanting to say Kurt Russell. It's not Kurt Russell.
Potentially
Russell
the best
Crowe.
Marketing video of all time. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's the greatest video ever, honestly. So good.
And then you got the New Mutants the following week. Finally.
Is it really?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's finally.
What? Yeah. Finally.
Fingers crossed.
You know what?
That poor movie has been waiting 3 years.
I feel like that's where they're low-key releasing it. It's just like, who cares at this point?
I don't know if you saw. So Comic-Con at home happened not too long ago, and they had a panel for it. And the excitement was kind of like up here at the beginning of the panel. And then they started getting into like, oh, this movie's been like waiting for 3 years. And slowly people in the cast just got like really annoyed and like bored almost. And I'm like, these poor people have been waiting for like 3 years for this.
Like just
release it. For a lot
just release it.
Just do it.
Even if it's only in theaters, like say if they do shut down like after a month, 2 months, at least put it out so it officially released, and then
then just put it on Hulu. Just put it on Hulu.
At Hulu, or if you want to put it on VOD for cheap, do that. Like $10 to rent, maybe. Yeah.
Let people watch it.
Yeah.
I hope a lot of people watch it. It better be like the biggest release of the pandemic up until like Tenet.
Tenet's gonna be the biggest release.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope.
One can hope.
It's gonna be make or break for theaters. I feel like if that movie makes money, then we're.
I think like due to how well they marketed it, especially their constant thing of like it was I think the last full length trailer they released where it said at the end, they made it in big bold letters coming to theaters.
Yeah, so that probably
or like only in theaters or something like that.
Yeah.
And so they're dedicated. So I think it could very well happen where theaters, at least like the ones around us, like are about like medium size in terms of like how many theaters there are in each, or like auditoriums in each theater. It could very well take up every single slot. And we've only ever seen that really with like a Star Wars or like Endgame.
Yeah.
Or like Infinity War maybe.
Even like some of this like Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home were like at least probably half the theaters.
Yeah, like they took up at least like 50%. I think Tenet could easily take up like 80% of theaters. And then like the 20% are like the re-releases. Like the other 20% could be like Empire and like Goonies or Inception. They could keep Inception out. Just have
they're doing all of Nolan's
all of his
films.
like almost all of his films. Like the only ones they're not doing are like Memento and
Memento is like never talked about. So.
Yeah, Memento or like his first film, which is like what, Following? Is that what it's called? Yeah. But they're doing every single other one. So I think like you could find a theater that's only doing Nolan releases. And I don't have a problem with that.
All of them, so.
The man makes good movies, so. Yeah. The man makes good movies.
Speaking of good movies, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. Great movie, but it's getting a remake. And they've chosen the dynamic duo of Hollywood, I guess, Will Smith and Kevin Hart. So,
yeah. What was the last movie they did? Did they do?
I don't think they did any movie together.
That was Will Ferrell. I just realized
they've never done any movies together.
But that was Will Ferrell. I was thinking.
I guess that out of all the like dynamic duos, you go with two people that have never done a movie together.
Never done a movie together.
Probably don't have. I don't even like chemistry.
Who were the original stars in Planes, Trains?
John Candy and Martin. Not Martin Short.
I can't think of his name. I can see him in my head.
I'm blanking on it.
I got you.
Did they do films before that?
Did those two? Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did.
That was like prime Candy, if I'm not mistaken.
Steve Martin and John Candy.
Yeah, Steve Martin.
There we go. Okay.
Not Martin Short. I'm thinking about
I don't see why they didn't choose a duo. Like they could have easily
just make Central Intelligence 2. Put Rock
and Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart again.
Or just do like people you know.
Do some of the Marvel people.
Marvel or like people you know who are best friends in real life and make an awesome duo in film. Like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
That would be perfect.
Would be perfect.
Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Holland.
Get Edgar on it. Just throw it into the Cornetto trilogy. Make it a quadrilogy.
Get Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Holland.
There we go.
That would be amazing. I'd pay to see that. Well,
Ben Affleck and like Matt Damon or something.
We gotta stop paying to watch remakes.
I would even go Affleck and Renner, like The Town.
And Renner. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they gotta stop making remakes, man.
Yeah.
People are starting to notice too. People are starting to notice.
Oh, they've been noticing.
I mean, honestly,
it's so annoying that you can make original stuff. Like last year, The Lighthouse, Parasite, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So much more. All original stuff. And look what dominated the Oscars. It's not that hard. I mean, they don't make money because of the main reason that people are so fixed on Marvel and blockbusters.
We're now
a totally different story.
Yeah, I think we're now though slowly entering a time where directors' names on projects almost means more than the actors.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Because I don't know about you.
We're talking about Mank.
Yeah.
We were talking about Mank, which is a Netflix movie, and the main reason why it's front runner right now and it hasn't even come out is because David Fincher, who's done Seven, he's done Fight Club, he's done all these movies, so it's like the man has a reputation, and you know that goes with Tenet. So
something like Nolan, everyone goes to see a Christopher Nolan movie now. That's why Tenet is probably going to be it's probably going to
potentially the biggest movie until Dune. I'd say that. I don't know. Too. I'd be interested to see how Black Widow does, but
Black Widow or I think Wonder Woman could do pretty good too.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, you know. But we brought up Tom Holland, and he had a new trailer, which is The Devil All the Time, which again is another Netflix movie, which has the likes of Tom Holland, Bill Skarsgård, Robert Pattinson's in it, Riley Keough's in it.
This cast is loaded.
It's pretty loaded.
With star power.
It is.
I wasn't 100% on the trailer. I feel like it could be the bedtimes at the
El Royale
or something like that. Which it's a good movie, and it's a great cast. But it's trying to be that movie's trying to be a Tarantino movie. I don't know what this movie's going to be trying to do, but I hope it's good. I mean, I hope it's a majority of the cast that are involved. So,
do we know the director behind it? It's probably not a big name.
Antonio Campos, who has done The Punisher, and that's really it.
I will say though, I did read the novel Devil All the Time, so I am hyped for this a little bit. I don't know. I was sold
Netflix
on the trailer.
Have a lot of movies, man.
I was
Netflix does have a lot of movies.
It's true, they do.
I mean, next month is a big month for them. I think Mank is releasing October and November, but they have The Devil All the Time is coming out next month.
Yes.
I think it's a September release.
And then it has, I'm thinking
September 16th.
Things, which is the 4th.
With Todd from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, the new Charlie Kaufman film. So, I mean, hey, man, anything new I'll watch because I feel like I'm on
new and original.
I'm on course to watch more movies than I did last year, which is kind of sad. So
I'm not.
I think I'm on 41. So.
I don't even think I've broken 20. In terms of new releases,
all good. You're probably you know what? You probably have a lot more free time than I do.
I don't know.
Y'all both combined probably have a lot more free time than I do.
Well,
yeah. Devil All the Time. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine.
Watch it be like one of the best films ever made.
I know, right? I mean, the novel definitely is one of the best books I think I've ever read. So.
Oh, you read the novel?
I did read the novel.
Robert Pattinson becomes like Jesus.
He becomes Jesus.
I think the funny part is I think he is playing like a
Jesus,
like a preacher or something like that.
He is,
it's quite possible.
I'm getting like Far Cry 5 vibes from him.
Tom Holland turns into the devil. They have a battle at the end.
It's literally just Wonder Woman versus Ares from the first Wonder Woman. It's just like a big PS2 battle.
So Tom Holland had to take his fiddle down to Georgia to play with the devil, all right?
Yes.
Oh, God.
I think this movie will be fine. I think we'll get a lot of 7 out of 10s in terms of reviews.
All right. Well, those were the previews, but we are going to get into the main feature here. The
feature presentation.
Yeah, the feature presentation, which is Quentin.
Connor, you want to take it away?
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I'll get a synopsis up here. A faded television actor and his stunt double strive to achieve fame and success in the final years of Hollywood's golden age in 1969 Los Angeles. I think that's a pretty good synopsis there. This movie came out last year, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about y'all, but this was top 10 for me.
Yes.
Yep. And I think it holds up so well.
It's a movie that gets better every time you watch it.
Which is surprising.
Mm-hmm. With a movie that's long like this, like it's 2 hours and 49 minutes.
41. I forgot how long
minutes.
this movie is before watching it.
It's long. And the fact that it gets better with every viewing.
It's very divisive.
It's kind of insane. Yeah.
More than I think any other Tarantino film. Because not much happens for the first hour and a half, 2 hours, I want to say. I mean, they're kind of just driving around and they're kind of talking. And then Al Pacino shows up and then Al Pacino leaves. But then Al Pacino shows up again and then everything happens.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's the end of the podcast.
That's it. That's it. But no, yeah, this is one of Tarantino's more unique movies in terms of like every one of his movies, aside from maybe like Pulp Fiction, follows like a kind of specific formula where you kind of like it's a pretty simple plot. Whereas this one doesn't really have a plot. Stuff just kind of happens, but it's stuff that happened. It just kind of happens, but it works. It makes sense. You're not left like lost. Like he doesn't like I was thinking more about it. Everything Tarantino wanted you to see, you saw. He didn't leave anything like up for like interpretation.
Which is funny because I watched an interview prior to watching this, and he said he wants to make like a similar thing to what he did with the Hateful Eight.
Okay.
Like an extended version, but almost make it like a miniseries.
Oh,
which I'm all for. Which I'm all for.
Yeah, they did that with Hateful Eight. It's on Netflix. It was like 4 episodes, I think.
Which I think makes it better.
Really?
I'm not a big fan of the Hateful Eight. I think it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. But yeah. I'd be all for that. I'd also be all for an entire extra disc with a special re-release where we just have an entire season of Bounty Law.
I would love that.
That would be epic.
I would love that. They just
have Leo
completely do. They secretly shot a whole season of Bounty Law.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure Tarantino is hiding that away. Tarantino is so hiding like a whole nother 3 movies and an entire TV show.
Watch him after he releases his 10th film, and then he waits a year for like the Blu-ray to come out. He's gonna do He's gonna do like a whole 10-film collection, and then in there will be like a special thing for each movie. And for Once Upon a Time, it'll be a full season of Bounty Law.
I was sitting there watching this, and that first like few minutes, and then they have this like thing spread about where they're talking about the 14 Fists of McCluskey and Bounty Law. I'm like, I'm gonna watch all these. I want to watch all of them. Give me them. Feed me. I'm already watching your movie, Quentin. I want more.
Like I want to get those individual posters for the Rick Dalton movies.
I want a poster that has the quote, "Don't cry in front of the Mexicans."
Don't cry in front of the Mexicans.
Oh my god.
It's one of the best quotes in the film, and it's so early on. It's like in the first
10 minutes.
It's so funny. It's like in the first 10 minutes.
I remember sitting in the theater, and that line happened, and it was a mix of laughter and kind of like,
ooh,
like Quentin. Quentin, you already did a movie on slavery, so
yeah, it's like they also got to understand this movie takes place in the 60s,
where a lot of that was like natural.
Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't necessarily right, but it was natural.
Yeah, and I think Quentin specifically is so good at that. I mean, he plays around with history, but I think he knows like eras so well, which is crazy because he made that slavery movie, and there was like I can't say slavery movie. It's Django, which has slavery in it, and the N-word is dropped all the time.
It broke the record, I think, for the most in a movie. It broke his own record.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
That's crazy. But like he understands that was a natural thing that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, there's backlash for anything nowadays, but there was backlash for that because of the N-word.
Yeah.
But he understands that, like,
he understands it's not okay.
Was so natural, which is so impressive to me.
Yeah, exactly. He's aware of, like, he's not just like, it may seem like he's throwing it around left and right, but like you got to think at that time that word was being thrown around a lot. It doesn't mean it was right, but it was just like, for so many people, it was so natural. So I think like that historical accuracy, I think, is important to making his films like as like on point in terms of history, even though he plays around with history. But I think if you make, at least add in some realism like that, then you can like mess with history a little bit and get away with it like he did in Hollywood.
It also helps that he was like born around that time. I think he was born in the 50s. 50s, 60s, around 60s. That. So it helps that he lived through that. And he talks about it all the time, how he went to like the theaters in and around LA and the theaters that you're shown in the actual film. He went to those. He saw movies there. He probably saw a movie where Margot is watching her movie as Sharon Tate. Yeah. And was guaranteed that he probably went to that theater at some point.
They probably did.
That helps that he like he is such an interesting person to listen to. I don't know if anyone's like just sat down and watched his like hour-long interviews.
I have. At least like bits and pieces I have.
He seems like a crazy ass dude, but his knowledge on film history and films in general is
mind-blowing.
Like he can name a film that came out in like the 50s that no one probably has ever heard of, but he can name like the actor, director, writer, and all that. Which is amazing to me.
It's insane.
Someone getting a phone call?
No, it's my printer. It's like freaking out. It did this before too.
Brian, the printer doesn't like your thoughts on the movie.
The printer's freaking out. It did this like 10 minutes ago. All right, we should be okay. Okay. It's probably gonna happen again, but it's an easy fix.
Easy fix.
I literally just have to keep pressing cancel on it. But
I do have a question for you guys.
Yes.
We kind of we got into this kind of before the podcast started. Is DiCaprio really the lead of this movie?
Yeah. I think so.
Is he though? I mean,
I think like him and Pitt, like, literally, I think like DiCaprio is the lead and Pitt is the supporting.
I think for the first half,
in terms of importance, it kind of changes on who the film focuses on. So like, I think they each get an equal amount of,
I think it's half and half.
Screen time and importance. Yeah,
right down the middle of like.
So, I think like. Yeah, I think they both are. I think they're like lead stars, and then everyone else is supporting.
And I think any other given year, Leo wins. Because his performance, mind you, it's not his best, but it's far from his worst. I think it's a great performance, nonetheless. I think Brad, 110,000,000% deserves that Oscar simply for the last like 20 minutes.
Yeah, he sells it.
As soon as he smokes the acid-laced blunt, you're handing him the Oscar.
Yeah. After his confrontation with the Mansons, he essentially already like accepted his Oscar. He knew he was getting it.
And he had some of the best speeches during the award season.
Did he win something at the Globes too for it?
He did. I think he swept everywhere.
I think he did. He swept a good majority of the award shows.
He got the DGA, I think. He got the critics. He got the Golden Globe, I want to say. Maybe he didn't. Probably wrong on that one. And then he got the Oscar. So
he got the Oscar, the big one.
Finally, his second.
Second Oscar. I don't know what was his other one?
I think he was the executive producer on 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, gotcha. So this is his first acting.
Yeah.
Oscar.
Which is insane.
Crazy. Yeah.
Been working for like 30 odd years.
Yeah. So
You know what?
I was gonna say that's what you get. That's what you get for Tarantino casting you.
Yeah, I guess so.
In his movie,
which, mind you, the casting is so good. Like,
yeah, everything's on point.
Dead-on doppelgangers of Steve McQueen. Mama Cass shows up from Mamas and Papas. Charlie Manson. I mean, even
Roman Polanski.
Well, Margot Robbie looked exactly like Sharon Tate in half the shots she's in. And I mean, as controversial as the Bruce Lee fight thing was, Mike Moe
killed it.
Knocked it out of the park.
Killed it. He couldn't have done it any better. I don't think.
That's my question for you guys. Like, do you see why it's controversial? Do you understand? Like, does it bother you?
I think it's only controversial because people don't really like when filmmakers play with history.
Well, not so much history. It's when you play around with, like, people that they like. And I think Bruce Lee's a universally liked person.
But, like, when you pull off a performance so well, I don't think there should be controversy.
It is a bit over the top, though.
Well, Bruce Lee was over the top.
That's true.
Bruce Lee was so over the top.
That is true. And my favorite line from that entire fight scene is, so who is this guy? It's like, oh, that guy? It's like, yeah.
That guy killed his wife. He killed his wife and got away with it.
Wait, that guy? Yeah. Throws him into a car.
I think that probably made a lot of people upset considering how well he was, like, he held his own against Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
It was just this, like, random stunt guy.
Yeah.
That for whatever reason was able to hold his own. I think a lot of people didn't like that.
And I forgot who it was.
It's Tarantino's fan. It's like it's this
yeah
fantasy he created.
In his mind. So.
Yeah, in his mind. It involves someone that never existed. It's not like he just threw someone in there willy-nilly.
Yeah.
And had them pound on Bruce Lee. It's not like he was like, yo, it's like, what would happen if Roman Polanski fought Bruce Lee and Roman just kicks his ass? Bruce. Yeah, no, it's just a random guy who's already proven that he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
So
he also killed his wife.
And he also killed his wife. Allegedly. They never proved it.
I think that little insertion of the scene with whoever the wife
whoever played the wife, yeah.
And Brad, I think that's genius because it's not right after. So it's played as comedic timing perfectly to where you almost side with Cliff's decision of, like, killing her.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Do you think he did it?
Oh, 100%. I think that's exactly like Carol Baskin. With her husband. I think that's the exact same thing. I did not expect myself to be comparing Tiger King and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood
together, but
that's happened. It's set in stone. Colin, you're a little bit quiet over there.
All right. Can I back it up to the who's the lead?
Yeah,
here, because
to
be honest, I think the lead is actually Brad Pitt. And I think it's smart on Quentin Tarantino's part because I feel like this is a criticism of old Hollywood. And I feel like old Hollywood is where the guy who did the least amount of work was the top. Okay? And you can see that like Rick Dalton is doing like zero amount of work, but still getting, like, the top credit and then he started to fall back. So I feel like current Hollywood is these people who work, and then they're on the top. So, like, for example,
stunt people in general.
Yeah, I mean
that's why they need their own Oscar category.
Right, exactly. I'm even just gonna look at like Joaquin Phoenix for example. This dude played Johnny Cash, and he also played forget his character's name in Her, but he's very much a method actor. But a lot of people weren't on him, they didn't have him on his radar until he performed so well in Joker. But if you go back and retrace what he was doing in his filmography before Joker. You see he's putting in so much work to get to Joker.
That, yeah.
And I think that's where Tarantino is kind of sort of commenting on that, and why this is kind of sort of a love letter to old Hollywood, but also like, hey, this is where old Hollywood went wrong, and this is what's happening. Because I mean, if you look at that ending, I would consider Cliff the hero, not Rick Dalton. But the movie shows you it's basically Rick Dalton.
Cliff did all the work.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's where the criticism of Hollywood is in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
And I like your phrasing of the love letter to Hollywood, because I wrote this in my Letterboxd review. It's a love letter to Hollywood, yes, but I think it's also a love letter to to Tarantino's fans,
yes,
to his own movies, and to his childhood. I feel like this was his, like, if this is his final movie, it is the best way for Tarantino personally to go out.
Mm-hmm.
This is his passion project. This is his. I can almost see it as a biography. This is how he saw it as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's he's playing around with history, sure, but this is how he saw it growing up. This is how he viewed certain actors. Cliff and DiCaprio's character and shit. I'm blanking on
Dalton.
Rick Dalton. They're not real people, but they are.
Which you could certainly take who they are and then put them.
You can take elements from a bunch of different actors.
They represent those two parts of Hollywood.
Yeah, and I love that, because Tarantino, and I it's a shame this film isn't loved by everyone, because you can learn so much from this. You can learn so much about this from about Tarantino, and how he makes all these like gory films, but at the center of it, he can make this like deeply kind of meaningful film about an actor at the end of their career, and how he's kind of just moving along. And I think the conversation.
It's also criticism of the industry as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's Tarantino at his most meta, but I think he can get away with it.
Yeah, for sure.
This is definitely a film more for his fans. Like, this is kind of like him saying, "All right, you've been with me for so long. Here's what I really
like everything,
just everything you love about my movies in one."
Yeah,
and it's long. The dialogue's like, this is like top 5 Tarantino dialogue. Like it's so good, and like it's his conclusions to his films are always insane.
This one's like totally different.
Yeah, totally different. And this is more for his fans rather than like casual fans. But casual fans can like it. I'm not saying they can't, but this is more for like Tarantino's like, you guys love my movies. Here's kind of my love letter to you guys.
Yeah.
And this is what came out of it, and it was one of the best movies of 2019.
And if it wasn't for Parasite, I definitely think this would have won probably Best Picture, potentially Best Original Screenplay. This would have gotten a lot more love if it hadn't been for the powerhouse that was 2019.
Yeah.
And I honestly, Tarantino knows how to find talent.
For sure.
Standouts in this movie are Margaret Qualley. And Julia Butters, who isn't on screen for very long, but she probably has some of the most badass line deliveries in the entire fucking movie. That entire scene where she's like, "I got pads on. You know what? Sometimes I just throw myself on the floor when I'm not even acting." I'm like, this is a child. This is a child saying this. Great.
She's good. Dakota Fanning's good. She's not in it very long.
Yeah,
she's good.
Here's the thing. Tarantino has this ability to just get like Bruce Dern or Al Pacino to just show up.
Yeah.
As cameos.
He got Luke
so
Perry for his last role. He got Luke Perry.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
This film is so, it's on the surface, it doesn't look like much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look into it, it's something remarkable, and I think it's honestly an instant classic.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This thing's gonna go down as, I don't know if it's gonna be the best, like one of the best films in history. I wouldn't go as that far, but this is gonna have a cult following. It's gonna be studied.
Yeah. This is something
100%.
This is something our kids are gonna be like, yo, so what is this Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Well, let me tell you about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Let me tell you a story
when I went to go see it in the theater.
Yeah. This is like something film schools are gonna make you, like they're gonna make you study the script.
Yeah.
And read it over, be like we want you to make dialogue this good.
Yeah.
Like and you don't even need a massive central plot to make it work.
Yeah. Honestly, Brian, scratch the screenwriting part, just in general. Like if you're gonna direct, if you're gonna do cinematography, if you're gonna produce
cinematography, costume design.
Yeah. Like this is a great movie to like learn.
It's also a great,
it has a little bit of
movie.
Oh yeah.
It is potentially one of the best hangout movies of all time, because it's like you can put it on and you really don't have to pay attention to a whole lot of it unless you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last 30 minutes happens, and then probably everyone's focused on the movie, and you don't really need to know. As a casual moviegoer, you're probably like, oh shit, Tarantino. Or someone's face is getting smashed against the goddamn wall, so.
Yep. Oh, there's the flamethrower.
Oh, there's the flamethrower. Someone's set on fire. And 5 minutes later, the movie's over. Yep. Like, wait, where's the rest? Where's the rest of the violence?
It's such a crazy film.
I think that attributes to why some people don't like the movie, is that it's very casual. You can really like throw it on and then just like have a normal conversation and not pay attention. I know a few of my good friends have been like, yeah, I really didn't like the movie because like I lost interest. And I'm like,
I completely understand.
Mm-hmm.
I can completely understand that. And oftentimes I can find myself like kind of like checking my phone or something like that. Because how many times can I see Brad Pitt driving down the same street with a song playing in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think it's a pretty looking film, don't get me wrong. It's really beautiful. It's shot, I think 70 millimeter, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
I think it's very pretty, but I mean, you know, that's probably the biggest thing for me that's keeping it from being a masterpiece. I think from Tarantino's films, it's a masterpiece. I don't think it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think from a Tarantino aspect, if I'm looking at it strictly from his films, it's a masterpiece. I don't think it's a masterpiece of film. I think it's brilliant and fantastic, one of my favorites of the last decade, but I think the length and kind of like
it's second
I'm probably contradicting myself by saying this, but it's like there's only so much of one thing you can show me.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, well, you know.
Because
exactly.
I think this comes back to what you folks said earlier, is that movies these days are becoming about the director. And like for Tarantino, this is one of his just mind-blowing films that you just sit there and you're like, this is great. This tops, you know, Pulp Fiction. This tops Django. This tops, you know, name whatever fucking movie you want of Tarantino's. This tops it. I think that's where Connor's mind is at. So again, strictly from Tarantino, this is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Put it with every other film out there.
It's almost there. It's
almost there.
Yeah.
Almost there for me. And that's why I got to give it a 4.5 out of 5 for that. It's like closest to a 5 you're ever going to get from me.
Yeah.
I could honestly.
Closest to a perfect score before breaking the perfect. Yeah.
If it wasn't 2 hours and 41 minutes long, I could honestly sit down and just watch it for a day straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to, like, I probably contradicted everything I just said, but and I even wrote this down. This is such an odd film. Like, nothing really happens, but then things happen, and, like...
And you still enjoy it.
You still enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's such an enjoyable movie. It's so weird. It's so strange.
I think it's almost because you're I think there's something in the characters that everybody can relate to. Everybody goes through this at some point in time. You know, it might not necessarily be within the film industry, but there's a part in time where you're like, you're just not. I hate to use this word, but important anymore. If that makes any sense, and then you kind of have to deal with that whole thing where you're like, what do I do?
I can almost guarantee a lot of actors in Hollywood watching this probably like, well, shit, you know what? That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm beyond my years. I'm kind of like done. I'm probably going to just be playing these smaller cameo roles. Like, I mean, Al Pacino had The Irishman, and he probably has a lot more projects coming up. But I can almost guarantee, like, this little cameo is going to be a thing that he's going to be doing in a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sucks. I can almost guarantee it sucks, especially for someone like an Al Pacino, where you've had this long
successful career.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. And it's like another person, Robert De Niro. I mean, he has another Scorsese movie, and he had The Irishman. But then I saw a trailer where he's gonna like do this like cheesy like Nickelodeon grandpa movie, and I'm like, really?
I don't know.
Like,
He's done like one or two movies like that in the past too.
I mean, he go ahead, but not to go off track or anything. But I think everything the film goes for, it lands in meaning.
Yeah.
Where Tarantino probably feels the same way. Where, you know, after if he makes another movie, 10, 20 years, he's going to be remembered, but he's going to be nowhere near as popular as he was now. So it's a shame, but
I think it's also a criticism on how will you be remembered. Like, are people going to remember Rick Dalton? You know, it's like, are people going to remember Quentin Tarantino, 100 years from now? You know, they're arguably so. We could argue this. This might be better for a later podcast. I would probably say no. Probably won't be remembered as.
Well, by then,
as
the world
such.
will be a completely different place with like a whole nother wave of filmmakers, and it'll be completely different than it is now. But for the meantime, I mean, look at what Tarantino has set as a precedent for the next. I don't think you can really compare anyone nowadays to that. I think maybe the closest thing, maybe the Safdies.
If that even. That's even a stretch.
Potentially. Like, you can't name someone. Like, you can look at other people that take inspiration from Kubrick, like Jonathan Glazer, we talked about last episode, or no, 2 episodes ago. I mean, there's no one really next in line to...
I'd say, like, he's not there yet, but S. Craig Zahler is kind of on his way.
Yeah.
He's kind of on his way. He's made
but
3
I don't think he'll
solid
ever reach
movies.
that, like... I mean, Tarantino, after, like, Reservoir Dogs, was already on the map.
Yeah, that made him a rock star. That movie made him a rock star.
Zahler's, like, 3, 4...
He's 3 movies in,
and he's, like, kind of, like...
He's getting there. He's slowly getting more acclaim. But
I mean, Tarantino's just, like, left this landmark and precedent that I can't see being matched anytime soon.
In a while, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're also in, like, a transitional phase. Almost like I feel like, to a degree, we don't know where the film industry is going. Like where,
100%.
like what kind of art are we about to make?
Especially with COVID, the whole pandemic. Like, even still going to be around.
Well, beside that, I'm just talking about film as just an art form.
It's
the art of filmmaking. Like we don't know where we're headed here.
Yeah, first time in a while.
Yeah, so I think that's why I'm kind of like, will Tarantino be remembered?
We probably just left a renaissance kind of golden age of film. I mean, the 2010s were something special. I mean, it was hard making a best of the decade list. There were movies that I didn't even get to watch that I want to watch that were critically acclaimed. So it was like, are we entering the second phase of that renaissance? Are we leaving that? We don't know. Colin, that's a really good point.
I mean, I still think about how when we were making like our best of the decade list, like when we went, here's the best film of 2010 through 2019. It was hard. It was hard. It was
films on each list. So.
Like I think for every year we must each had maybe 2 or 3 honorable mentions, and we really just couldn't pick one.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Yeah, interesting to see where the film industry is at 10 years from now. Hey, Tarantino could be like, oh well, you know what? I don't want to retire. I'm gonna keep making movies, guys.
Keep making movies,
guys. I'd be all for it.
Yeah. Or if he just got his own TV show or something, I'd be all for that.
He has spoken about doing plays, TV shows,
documentaries too.
Writing novels. I'm like, dude, if you write a novel, I will buy anything you write.
Well, if you remember, Tarantino, before Once Upon a Time was released, he wrote it as a novel form and then went to a screenplay with it.
He did that with the Hateful Eight, I think, too.
Yeah.
A lot of people
he's adapting for play.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people actually drew ideas from the Trump administration to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because of the way it works. And I was like, but it was written 5 years earlier, so it's kind of funny how that actually worked and everything. Because I mean, every film is really examined through a political lens at the time.
Well, that's a totally different topic because everything's brought into a political standpoint nowadays. But
that was like a little subplot / fun fact. Let's go back to the main part, please.
If you so it was about halfway through, and it was about the 5th time that Brad Pitt or someone was driving a car down the street. And I'm like, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of it's kind of like a more mature American Graffiti.
Yes.
Brian,
someone had the same thought as me.
Have you seen it?
Not yet. No.
I
haven't saved on my list.
Very different plot. Of sorts. But it's just kids driving around for an entire night.
I have it saved on my list on HBO Max.
It's basically
definitely recommend.
It is basically a more mature American Graffiti with famous actors being portrayed by other famous actors. Okay. So
it's Lucas, right? It's George Lucas.
George Lucas.
It is. It's his first one. But I love this movie. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I forgot how much I love this movie, and that's the main reason why I wanted to revisit it. Is basically because of how much I love it. I just love it to death. I could talk about it for ages, and I never stop having interesting thoughts about it. I keep going back to watching interviews with Tarantino because he's so influential and you can learn so much from him. And you're just gonna leave he's gonna leave this landmark of just brilliance, top to bottom.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree.
Anyone have anything else to say about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? We can get into grades. I already said mine. Mine was a 4.5 out of 5.
So I do mine out of 10. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. It's like you were saying before, it's so close to being perfect.
It is so close to by the end of the night it might.
My only thing is just that in the second act, as much as we talked about how great the film is, my only thing is that in the second act it just slows down a little bit.
Yeah.
And it can see at times it can seem like it's really halted on the brakes a bit.
Oh,
so that's why it's not a 10 out of 10. If I don't mind the no plot. I don't mind that because it's Tarantino dialogue is carrying it. But at times I think he relies too much on his own writing in the second act to try and really carry it. Because it's at least in the first act, characters are moving around while they're talking, stuff's kind of happening. It's not violent stuff, but even the driving around and whatnot. Second act, it's kind of people just kind of standing around and talking, and that can be off-putting to some people. I mean, I still enjoyed it, but it just slowed down a lot, and the dialogue was still great, but I think he relied a little too much on his own dialogue to carry that second act. And of course, the third act was just absolutely insane. So I give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah. So when I originally saw the movie, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. It was my favorite, I believe, of 2019. Yeah, I think it was my favorite.
Okay.
And I've watched it 3 other times, including the viewing for this podcast. And every time I watch it, I find more and more that I don't like about it. Okay. I find that it really kind of irks me how the 1960s is portrayed a little bit. As a scholar of history myself, I think it's a fairly accurate representation, but for some reason, I just feel like these characters of Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt don't fit like they should. Like something seems off. Something seems off to me in their performances, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. I feel like there's a lot to unpack in the ending, and I feel like no matter how many times I watch it, I'm not gonna get everything out of it, or everything that Tarantino wants me to get out of it. But I'm gonna contradict myself just a little bit here. I do like how beautiful it looks. I like how I feel like I'm in the 1960s. I feel like I am literally in Hollywood 1969 with how everything
I forgot
looks.
to bring that up. The production design in this film is
insane.
Off the charts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel like the vernacular, or like the mannerisms that are presented, are also very realistic and accurate to the time period. But it just really still irks me that DiCaprio and Pitt as those characters do not seem to fit for me. I don't know why. But that's something that I've just been thinking about and trying to like grapple with as I go back and rewatch. But I still do enjoy the film as a whole. But I did give it a 9.5 out of 10 when I first saw it. I have now brought it back down to a 7 out of 10.
Wow. Holy. All right. Okay.
Whole 2.5 points.
Jeez.
It's like I said, it's not a bad film, but if I keep going back and there's just stuff that I'm just like, I don't understand. And who knows, maybe with a little more time and I go back again, maybe I will bump it back up to the 9.5, or maybe not necessarily to the 9.5, but up farther. Because I mean, I
definitely
want
want to revisit.
Yeah, I definitely want to have this be the 9.5 that I thought it was when I first saw it, but I just go back and I just find more to nitpick and be like, I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I totally get that. But I have that feeling about a lot of different films, especially from last year. I mean, last year was so good. So there are still a lot ones that I want to revisit. So So that was the feature presentation, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Woo!
Woo!
Whoa.
We're gonna move into the end credits here, and this is where we talk about what we're gonna do for next week's episode, what we've been watching, and any recommendations we have for the rest of the guys. Next week we are gonna be doing something a bit different. We're gonna be trying something new. We're gonna be doing a bracket we've talked about on previous episodes. We're going to do an A24 bracket, which we'll find out, according to us, what is the best A24 film. So looking forward to that.
Me too. Absolutely.
Any predictions?
We haven't quite decided how we're going to do it yet.
My
but
printer's pretty excited about it.
This very well could be a disaster.
The printer does not like Tarantino, but it loves A24.
Loves A24.
I definitely think some of the front runners for our bracket will probably be, if I look at a list here,
Uncut, Good Time.
Uncut, Good Time. I'd go maybe mid-90s, Hereditary.
Florida Project. I was gonna say Florida Project's up there.
I could see Last Black Man in San Francisco getting some love from us.
Mm-hmm. All I know is Midsommar is not making it far, and I will stop that from making it anywhere near the final. Sorry, Colin.
Well, thank you, Connor. I really appreciate that.
I just don't like. I think I might be the only person in the world that just did not like that. But that's for next week. That is a conversation.
That is for next week.
Yeah. So
I also think Lady Bird could also probably get some love from us.
Lady Bird is like a dark horse.
Yeah.
It is.
So is Disaster Artist, to be fair.
Same, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna move into what we've been watching. Brian, you want to take it away?
Absolutely. So let me pull up my list here. I finally got back into Better Call Saul after
I finally started watching Breaking Bad again.
Nice.
God, they're both
just restarted watching it.
Breaking Bad is my all-time favorite TV show, and it was only a matter of time before I watched
hands down
Better Call Saul
ever.
Mm-hmm. Best TV show ever. You can put it up against anything, it'll beat it, in my opinion.
Filmmaking aspect, from a story, acting. Mm-hmm. I forgot how amazing Bryan Cranston is in that show. But Better Call Saul is awesome too.
His arc as Walter White's the best arc in any TV series. You could argue it's like up there in terms of any media. For like
Better Call Saul is a great companion with it.
I'm on episode. I finished episode 6 today before I got on. 6? Yeah. So I have only maybe 3 or 4 episodes left in season 1. There's only 10 episodes a season, and each episode's about 46-50 minutes. It's good so far. I've heard this. The main reason I wanted to watch this, I would have still probably watched it, considering it's a prequel to Breaking Bad. But people are saying it's better than Breaking Bad, and I really I need to see why. I'm not seeing why yet. It's
the final season is fantastic.
For which Breaking Bad?
For both.
Or for Saul. Saul, they have 2 more seasons coming. They have the one they're
See, I heard that, but at the same time, I also heard that this was the final go.
I think season 6 is the last season.
I think it was season 5. That was the last season.
Season 5 is either it's almost done or it's already done, and then 6 is going to be the last one.
The newest season was brilliant, and it was snubbed at the Emmys. Stupid.
Gotcha. But I need to see why people consider it better than
it is really close though.
I'm not there yet. I like it. I do. I just got off probably the most dramatic episode yet, and it didn't even focus on Jimmy, aka Saul. It was more focused on
it really. In that show, it delves away from Jimmy a lot.
Mm-hmm. It goes more into side characters, and I heard a lot of people come back.
A lot of people, you'll see a lot of cameos.
I already know of 4 people that come back, but they're not spoilers because one guy's in the poster, the other guy was in the first 2 episodes, and then the other 2 are on Netflix's promotional stuff when you hover over it. So I know of some people that come back, but I like it so far. I dig how it's different from Breaking Bad in terms of it's more law focused than because he's not a criminal. He's a lawyer, Jimmy McGill. So it's cool to see it focus. It's a Breaking Bad product, but it's cool to see it focused more on the good side of the law.
Someone should watch Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, and then El Camino.
Yes.
And see how closely knit
it all is.
That is.
I have seen El Camino.
It's pretty good. It's a good companion. Again, both are really good companions.
It's a good conclusion. You could argue if it was needed or not, but I think it was a good conclusion. Yeah. It was a good conclusion.
What else have you been watching, Brian?
You guys know this, so I did a 3 a triple feature.
3 in a day.
3 in a day. I did a triple feature starting at like 3:30, finished by 9 o'clock. But I didn't watch them I watched them back to back to back, but I took breaks in between, each one about like an hour or so. First one I watched was new RLJE release, Spree, with Joe Keery. And
compared to,
it's
I think it's just the hair.
But it's good. I liked it. It's nothing like, you're not gonna see it get any love at any award shows or anything. Maybe like it came. What was that?
It's not going for that.
No, it's not. But it came out of a film festival. I think
it came out of Sundance. Yeah,
Sundance. Yeah, and then RLG bought the rights to it.
Which they had no marketing. So when the marketing came out and it was like this like found footage type thing, I was like, not what I expected at all.
Yeah. But it's good. It's only like an hour 34, 35.
Oh, wow. It's a quick watch.
It's not long. It's nonstop. When I say it's nonstop, I mean something is always happening. And Joe Keery is electric.
His marketing is the reason why I want to watch this.
He created a whole Instagram account.
He made an Instagram. He made a Twitter.
Yeah.
He might have made a TikTok too.
His character's Instagram has over 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's more followers than RLJ's Instagram.
I forget where I read this, but I guess the director told him to go on YouTube
and watch influencers.
The most recent uploaded videos.
Yeah. I think I saw that too.
Act without having a big following.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. The way they prepared for this movie and the way they promoted it. The promoting. It didn't get much promotion, but like you had to kind of pay attention. Joe Keery
himself did the promotion.
Yeah. He literally and then like a week or two before the movie, RLJ posted more about it. Yeah. After he was basically done.
It was one of my most anticipated for the rest of the year. And it still remains that.
It's good. I can tell you right now, it's way more worth the $6.99 rental than the Tax Collector.
I bet.
God, I mentioned it last week. I really did not like the Tax Collector. Spree's fun. Spree's a movie. I liked watching it by myself. If you watch it with friends, yeah, I think it can make it better, especially with the whole social media aspect. There's one thing I really liked. It's just a shot that they edited to look like this, but it looked really cool because I have a slightly bigger screen in my room, and on a bigger TV, it would look pretty cool. It's literally like Instagram Live, like turned sideways to fit the screen, and to see it on the full screen looks pretty cool.
Interesting.
So, and then eventually it'll flip so it's almost like it's filmed like almost like Searching or
like
Unfriended. Yeah, not a Quibi. Cause like it'll take like the vertical and then there's like shots where they're focusing on two different. Yeah, it'll go from the vertical and it'll move it over to the side. Then it'll show a bigger view. So it'll show you two different points of view at times, which at times can be a little like too much on the screen at a time. But if it's only focusing on two people, because like they'll basically put two phone screens on a screen at once, and it's cool. It's cool how it works. Sometimes it feels like too much. Sometimes it doesn't. Especially towards the end, it feels like, especially with how the ending is crazy. Like the ending gets crazy. I'm telling you right now, the ending. I'm not gonna spoil anything. The last 15 minutes is nuts.
I really want to check it out.
It's
on my watch list, and it has been since I watched a video on it in like March, right after Sundance. So
yeah, it's a fun horror comedy, and I think it's definitely worth a watch. It's definitely worth the $6.99 rental. I think if it comes out on it's gonna come out on Blu-ray probably. I think
definitely. Yeah,
that's something I think I might definitely get. So I watched Spree. Next movie in my triple feature was mid-90s. I enjoyed it a lot. It's Jonah Hill's first film, and hey, there it is. it's a first film, so it has issues, but it doesn't
for real, 100%. Like
it has
on
issues.
repeat viewing,
Mm-hmm.
it has. There are times where the screen's blurry. I mean, you can tell that Jonah probably didn't give a whole lot of direction to a lot of people during some scenes where they're kind of just aimlessly walking around.
Mm-hmm.
I still think I almost compare it to like something like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it matches the time period perfectly.
Oh yeah, in the 90s. Yeah, literally the mid 90s.
Yeah.
So, it was enjoyable. It's such a quick watch. It's only an hour 28. Yeah. It was the shortest movie of the triple features I watched. Every one was under 2 hours, but this was the shortest one. It's so quick. It's so dramatic. It's so real.
What'd you think of Nikhil?
I liked him a lot, but
he was really good in it.
You mentioned this, I think, was it 2 weeks ago?
Probably.
On where we were talking about if Nikhil Smith was a leading actor or not. I don't think he's a leading actor in it. Okay. It focuses well on him, but not nearly as much as it does on like Stevie, played by Sonny Soljic. I think Stevie's 100% the lead in this. But you could 100% argue that.
Yeah.
Nikhil could have gotten nominated for supporting. He was so good.
I think he should have gotten a nomination, and I don't think anyone would argue that.
All the kids in it, I think,
are really good. They're really good, and a lot of them,
good in
believe it or not, are
just kids.
They had never
skaters.
Acted before.
Yeah.
Standout for me, it was Ryder McLaughlin, played fourth grade.
He was good.
He was so good.
Everyone played. What was great about this and the way that Jonah Hill wrote it? No, they're all similar in terms of like they're all skaters.
Not one time does any of the characters go off beat.
No,
they all remain very consistent.
They're all consistent and they're all different.
Yeah,
every character feels like its own thing. Like this could have easily been like, oh, it's just a bunch of skater kids and they're all the same. They're all into the same stuff. No, each one is vastly different from the last. And
I completely agree.
To see that in a director's first film,
that's really hard to do.
It's hard to do, and he
especially when you have that
really well.
Cast.
Yeah, where like Sonny was great in it, but I don't think he would have done as good if his chemistry didn't bounce off as well off of every single character in the movie.
Definitely agree.
It gets an 8.5 from me.
Nice.
8.5. And then the final movie I watched, this is the one I can't stop thinking about. I watched it once.
Tell me.
I watched it once, and at first I was like, that was really good. It was my favorite of the triple feature.
And then it sticks with you. Well, I told you, Brian.
Sean Baker's The Florida Project.
God damn it. It's probably, I'll go out on a limb and say it's probably, I don't want to say it, but it's probably one of my
favorite of all time.
Not favorite of all time.
Is it your favorite A24 film? No,
100%.
I was gonna say we should. I was gonna say we wanted to see that for
and
last
then
week.
Potentially my favorite top 3 of the last decade.
Really?
I love it.
It is. Yeah. I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna watch it again.
Performances. It is written like it doesn't feel like it has a script.
No.
It feels so natural. Real. It feels more natural than Marriage Story.
Mm-hmm. I think you could say it's almost more You could say it's almost more natural than mid-90s.
Yeah.
You could say they're both so uber realistic though. Like Florida, like mid-90s is realistic, but Florida Project legitimately feels like a documentary.
Florida Project is just
how real it is.
Watch Sean Baker's Tangerine, which is on Hulu. Because
I've heard of that one.
On iPhone.
That's crazy. I'm gonna look up her name quick. You might know Connor, the lead young girl in Florida Project. Brooklyn.
Give me a minute.
Brooklyn something. Brooklyn Prince?
You're probably right.
I think it's Brooklyn Prince. Dude.
Oh, she's really good.
Yeah,
Brooklyn Prince.
Brooklyn Prince.
Her, like, final shot of her crying at the end got me. Got me.
Amazing.
She was great throughout the whole movie.
She honestly, I stand by this. She should have gotten a nomination. There was no way that she was.
No, there was no way that they were going to nominate a 7-year-old.
Jacob Tremblay, who was like 7.
For Room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. But everyone in this movie, Willem Dafoe.
Like, he's so... I talked about this with a coworker today because she had watched it like halfway through and she wants to go back and finish it. We were saying how Willem Dafoe is great in everything.
Willem Dafoe is and I stand by this, top 10 actor of all time.
Yeah. He's great in everything. But there's something different about him playing natural roles. Like, he's like, obviously everyone knows him everyone knows him for the Green Goblin. That's his like signature like role.
Yeah.
Like, everyone knows him for that. But like when he just plays a guy,
it's so different.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so believable as just a guy.
Well, so apparently they lived in that hotel, which I did.
Oh, did they really?
Sean Baker lived in that hotel for a lot of his teenage years and into his 20s.
Wow.
So he knew all about it, and I think they lived there or lived nearby. They used to go and sit there all day, and it was like,
wow.
I love it. Photo Project. It's getting to be one of my favorites of all time.
It's like
I've seen it 5 times.
I was going back to what I was saying about Brooklyn Prince. She's like that. Like, I was convinced like she's
been great. There for years.
She's great. Yeah, like she's convinced me that she's lived there her whole life up until that point. But that final shot, I'm like, she has the potential to be a fucking superstar.
Yeah.
She's like, the fact that she pulled that off at 7.
Amazing.
I watched not documentary. I watched an interview she had with.
She's very mature.
I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, I want to say. But she was on there. And I'm like, they have to keep casting her.
Yeah.
Keep casting her.
Be careful with it, though. Because
you got to be careful with it. You don't want to, like, oversaturate her. Like, don't put her in too much. Yeah. But, like, she could be, like, once, like, people, like, Timothée Chalamet and like Tom Holland.
Once they all like, she's the
not necessarily move out of the way. I would say more like when they get into their 30s and they're just starting to like hit their peak. She's gonna start breaking in.
Sonny Soljic, her, Jacob Tremblay. I hope all that.
Yeah, they're like, she's gonna be huge.
Yeah,
I think she's 100% gonna be. She's got the talent. She's got the name. And nobody really talks about like how like if you have a cool sounding name, that's gonna help you too. Yeah. Brooklyn Prince is a cool name. Definitely. But she's like, protect her at all costs.
Protect her. Brian's a stand for Brooklyn Prince now.
One of A24's best performances.
Yeah.
One of A24's best performances. Everyone in the movie is fantastic.
You want to hear something crazy?
Yes.
This knocked Baby Driver and Logan out of the 1 and 2 spot for 2017.
For you? Really? I got to figure out where it stands for 2017. Baby Driver, obviously, you guys know, is my all-time favorite movie. So that's going to stay. I think it's still going to stay as my number 1 in 2017. But like it's good. It's top 10 right now. So if I watch it again, it's probably gonna move into my top 5.
I watched it twice in one day.
Really?
The first time I watched it, I immediately watched it again. 3 hours later.
Wow.
I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, I still haven't stopped thinking about it.
I don't do that frequently. I think I've done that with 2 out of the 3 movies on this wall.
Okay. Let me guess. Parasite and Shining.
Yep. Both those. I've watched both of those multiple times in a day.
I don't blame you, but I'm gonna watch it again at some point. If it's not this week,
Watch Tangerine too. It's not as good, but it's still impressive.
Still impressive, yeah. That's his first film, right? This is his first feature. Okay, but Florida Project. We'll see where it ends up in this bracket.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm intrigued.
But right now, since Colin, have you seen it?
That is one of the ones I have not seen.
Okay.
I can't wait to see what Colin thinks of it.
If you see it, Colin, I think it's
it might have a semifinal secured in the bag.
If once Colin sees it, I think it's going to be a heavyweight. If it's not already, it's going to be a heavyweight contender. It's going to have a hot streak. It's going at least to the quarterfinals.
So I looked up actually all the films that are on Netflix for A24, and I might watch all the ones I haven't. There's only
it's really tempting.
There's only 5 or 6 I haven't seen. I think I might be able to do it.
See, I'm trying to see half the films I didn't see, and that's I'll count them up right now. It's at least 15.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Most of the ones I want to see are already on Netflix, so I'm cool with that. Anything else would be just icing on the cake for me.
Colin, what have you been watching, buddy, while Brian's looking?
So on Wednesday night, I actually sat down to watch The Wolf of Wall Street.
Ooh, first time viewing?
But no.
Okay.
But
that is essential viewing for anyone who wants to get pumped up to go work out.
Oh, yeah. I saw it once when it first came out.
Okay.
But I didn't remember a whole lot. So I said it to myself at 11 o'clock at night, I'm going to watch Wolf of Wall Street.
You sat down at 11 o'clock at night to watch a 3-hour movie? You're insane.
I've done that before.
So I forgot how long it was. So I had to pause it. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm how long is this movie?
That movie's long.
It's 3 hours on the dot. I'm pretty sure.
Because this movie is not ending anytime soon. And I know that for a fact. And I flipped over the back cover and I was like, shit, a freaking hour to go. Oh my God. So I think I need to rewatch that at some point in the near future and just be
maybe in the near future that will be someone's pick.
In a better state of mind to watch that movie.
Maybe.
I also, of course, watched the movies that I was absent for last week's episode, Dragged Across Concrete and Standoff at Sparrow Creek. Which, by the way, real quickly, enjoyed them both. I think out of those two, my favorite was Standoff at Sparrow Creek.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That.
Dragged Across Concrete for me felt like at points I was actually literally being dragged across concrete because of how slow it was.
It slows down a lot.
But I do like the dynamic of Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn a whole lot. I love the story actually of Standoff at Sparrow Creek. That's what really drew me into that movie. Okay. It wasn't so much the scenery or the performance. It was just the story. Okay, I really dig this. It just felt like something that could actually happen.
It could happen. It's a more realistic Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was going to compare it to. It felt like I was watching. I don't want to use the term watered down, but a watered down version of Reservoir Dogs.
It's not necessarily as stylish, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. I also watched 5 Feet Apart the other day.
Okay.
That's one with Haley Lou Richardson and
Haley Lou.
Which Sprouse brother was it? I think it's Cole, but I don't remember.
I know what film you're talking about.
Yeah,
that movie came out, made no money, and then.
Yeah, I missed it. I missed it last year when it came out, and I was just well, all right, cool. But it's a very, very good movie. Very, very emotional. Very, very inspired. Really, really made me want to continue to cherish the ones that I love and do care about. Because it could all be gone like that. So I would give that one a solid 8 out of 10. Would highly recommend checking out. It is a bit of a tearjerker, I will say. My girlfriend and I did tear up a little bit. She did cry. I didn't. Is what it is.
Colin,
Oh.
It will not go unnoticed that you have rated 5 Feet Apart higher than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, I know that for a fact.
It will not go unnoticed in future episodes.
I have one more question for you. What were your this is going back just for temporarily. What were your scores for Standoff and Dragged?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Standoff, I gave the same score as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
7 out of 10.
7, okay.
And then
that's what I gave it.
I think Dragged Across Concrete I gave like 6.
Wow.
Really, honestly, just based upon how slow that was.
Was that a first time viewing for you?
It was a definite first time viewing. I still want to go back and rewatch actually. Dragged Across Concrete.
That's cool because like that. I mean like, because that was the film you chose.
Yeah.
That was the film you. Yeah, like usually when we pick movies, or like just like that was just the running theme that whoever picked the movie was one that they saw and they wanted to see what everyone else thought. That's cool that was a first time viewing for you.
Yeah, because I've been wanting to watch it for quite some time. And I'm just like, oh, here's a perfect opportunity. Let's just do it.
And 6. Really?
I really just didn't like the fact that there were like almost in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there were just a couple of sequences where people were just in the car.
It was
like a static shot, and I'm just
Vince Vaughn eating a cheeseburger.
Yeah, just like move the camera, do something. I don't know what you could do to make this better, but do something.
Oh, that's kind of a shame because I actually really liked it.
I mean, like I said, I want to go back and rewatch it because now I know that's gonna happen.
Yeah, that could be a movie that gets better with second viewings.
Yeah, because like I found myself actually not paying attention to the dialogue that was being said, and a lot of it was actually quite important.
Yeah.
But I was just like, the camera, do something. I don't care if you just move to another static shot from a different angle. I don't care, but do something.
Did you see the scores Connor and I gave it? Both those movies. So I give Standoff a 7, which is the same you gave it, but then I gave Dragged an 8.5. I gave Drag. I'm already like you. Have you seen Zaller's 2 other movies?
I had not.
Okay, so you're that's interesting because
that's a big part of it.
That's such a like.
Because he has other ones, you'll understand this.
Yeah, so I haven't seen Tomahawk, but I've seen Brawl, and like he has such a peculiar like interesting style. And
Bone is the closest thing you're gonna get. Earlier we were comparing Tarantino to him. Bone is the closest thing you're gonna get to a Tarantino, like in the gore aspect.
He like, and both like the first 2 movies aren't very long. I think Brawl is like a little over 2 hours, but for your first Craig Zahler movie to be almost 2 hours or 40 minutes. That's kind of crazy. I think
Zahler didn't direct Standoff.
No, not Standoff. I mean Bone and yeah, that was Henry Dunham. I mean Bone and Brawl. But I think you'd like it more if you watched at least one of the first 2 because you'll see his style immediately.
Right.
And what his main style, which is one I really like, is just the still cameras. The action.
Right. I mean, I have no problem with a static shot. I have no problem with that. Actually, a lot of times when I write like screenplays or things like that, I envision as a static shot, but I also envision doing something kind of cool with, if that makes any sense. So maybe like some lighter things like that. But it was just like, I'm sitting going, where is the effect? Where is this cool thing?
No, I know what you mean.
But I do like his style. I just think that maybe I needed to be prepared for Dragged Across Concrete in its full form, and I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my issue there. I don't know.
Either on a second viewing or after watching one of Zahler's films and then going back, I think would bump up the score. I'm not saying you have to bump up the score because that's your score.
Right.
And films are subjective. You can like whatever you want, but like, I don't know. I think your score would get bumped up if you were more familiar with his style because his style is like very like pinpoint. Like he does stuff very like. He is a guy where you won't get many final cuts from his films because his films, like what you see is what he wanted.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I got that vibe too from Dragged Across Concrete. I like I said, I think I just wasn't fully prepared for what was about to be presented to me.
Yeah.
So, and also to go back on the fact that I got 5 Feet Apart at 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, I did give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 9.5 when I first saw it. So
that is true. That is true.
And I went back and watched it 3 other times, so I've had a chance to really digest and think about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
But anyways,
I respect your opinion.
Then one other movie I sat down to watch was a quick one. It was a quick revisit because I had actually a friend of mine was like, "Yo, Flashpoint Paradox sucks," and I was like, "You should go read the graphic novel. I'm gonna go watch the movie and we'll come back." So we came back and talked about this very briefly. Uh, the verdict was that Flashpoint Paradox is a very faithful adaptation of Flashpoint the graphic novel. That was the consensus. I was like, well, I'm still giving it an 8.5 out of 10. It is one of the best DC animated movies ever.
Wow.
Anybody who wants to argue that with me, there's the door. You can go leave. But that about does it for me on the whatever.
Okay. Nice.
Sorry, I was just looking at the announcement that Travis Scott's gonna have an original song for Tenet. So,
yay!
Oh Lord.
Oh
yeah.
Well, here's another thing I saw. Nickelback. You remember that Nickelback? Look at this graph. That band.
Chad Kroeger.
Yeah, Chad Kroeger.
Chad Kroeger and his crew.
They did a cover of "The Devil Went Down to Georgia" because Rick Charlie Daniels. It's sonically bad, and it changed the lyrics. So
lyrics.
So it's not going down for a fiddle; it's going down with a guitar. And the guitar solo is absolutely horrendous. I would not recommend. Sorry to all the Nickelback fans out there, but I would just not recommend.
All 5 of them?
Yep, all 5 of them.
I think I have to check it out just because it's Nickelback.
It's not great by any standards. Like I might give that a 0.5 out of 10.
They should come back to do the end credits song for the next Spider-Man movie as a throwback to the first one.
They already have nice. A credit of being in a Batman trailer, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
God.
All right.
That about does it on my end of things.
I'll make it quick. I talked about watching Breaking Bad. I'm about halfway through season 1.
Okay.
Around there. So good. Bryan Cranston, his arc in that first season is ridiculous. His acting in that first season is ridiculous. It's so good. I watched Django in preparation for this podcast. Django is Django. It's super stylized. It's awesome. Jamie Foxx is great. I just realized that I watched 2 Jamie Foxx movies within 2 days. I watched Project Power. And you know what? It kind of sucks, but
yeah.
It's marketed as this like superhero thing, but it only spends like 15 minutes showing people using superpowers. So
you got to get the audience in the door somehow.
That's true. Machine Gun Kelly makes another Netflix movie appearance, which makes no sense, and then he dies, which is not a spoiler, because it's Machine Gun Kelly. You can deal with it. And then Casey Neistat shows up, and then
I saw that in the trailer.
He dies. That's not a spoiler because it's Casey Neistat, and the movie's just dumb. It's fine. It's not really fun. I kind of got bored with it, but fire me. Netflix, sponsor us. I dare you. And then I watched Ocean's 11, which I plan on watching all the ocean movies over in preparation for our next project. So
I would not recommend Ocean's 8.
I'm not watching Ocean's 8. That is non-existent. I don't know what that movie is. So
awesome. I have a lot of problems with that movie, but that's for a later podcast. I could spend a whole podcast myself on that movie.
I feel like we should have a podcast solely on each of us picking out a really shitty remake or sequel, and we just go ham on it. We just like,
let's do it.
I would love that. Change of plans. We're gonna do that next week. Not the 24.
You know what? That's a strong possibility. But yeah, that's been the end credits. That's what we've been watching. Stay tuned for next episode, wherever that may be. I've been Connor Van Sice.
I've been Brian Dangler.
And I've been Colin Bauer.
And this has been the Cloud Saga Cinema Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and see you in the next one.
Bye.